You can legally have an abortion in Nigeria only if the pregnancy is putting the mother's life in danger. This is probably why an estimated 456,000 unsafe abortions are carried out every year in Nigeria, according to the U.S. Guttmacher Institute. Now, in recognition of the International Safe Abortion Day, which was yesterday, September 28, tonight on Moments, we're going to be talking about abortion, the stigmas attached to it, and also the shame associated with it. Welcome to Moments. Hey, TALLULAH.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm very, very happy that we're having this conversation today because
too.
I think in so many ways abortion is one of the topics that we don't talk about. It is just hush, hush, mum, you know, and we all know, have friends who've had abortions, and it's really disheartening the fact that a lot of women have to go through this themselves, and even worse, a lot of women have to carry out unsafe abortions, which puts their life in risk, and also the potential of the ability to have children in the future. You know, and when we're thinking, and I think globally, you know, abortion is just still seen as something that a lot of people feel, you know, we shouldn't be talked about. There's pro-life and there's pro-choice, and everyone stands on different sides of the fences. But regardless of what side you stand on, I think the most important thing is that the lives are cared for.
I totally agree, Bolani, and I think it's also something that obviously brings out very strong, passionate reactions whenever it's, you know, brought up. Ultimately, my stance is that it's a woman should have that choice because, you know, there's a number of reasons why somebody may choose not to go, you know, full term with a pregnancy. Maybe they don't have the financial capability to raise a child. It may not be the right time for them. So I think this, you know, I think there's a culture of wanting to shame women who have been through abortions or who are thinking that it's something that they might want to do. But I think it's time that we really shed light on this topic so people can really get a deeper insight into the, you know, the risks.
Definitely. I completely hear you, TALLULAH. Our first guest is NMEZI. She's the founder and coordinating director of Generation Initiative for Women and Youth Network. She joins us after this.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. Our topic today is abortion, shame and stigma in Nigeria. And we have with us Mrs. SYBIL NMEZI. She's the founder and coordinating director of an NGO called Generation Initiative for Women and Youth Network, which focuses on sexual and reproductive health and rights of all people, especially marginalized grassroots women. She's worked on women's issues for up to 13 years. Welcome. So nice to have you on our show.
Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Welcome. So tell us, what made you want to start up this NGO championing, you know, abortion rights and, you know, safe abortion for women?
Thank you. During my work as an advocate of reproductive rights, I believe that we cannot achieve sexual and reproductive rights of women without including access to safe abortion.
Okay.
And the silence around unsafe abortion in Nigeria, as you have rightly said, that it's a killer, and it has taken girls' and women's lives. So but the silence around it bothered me. So that is why I decided to start giving information on what to do to end unwanted pregnancy and access to contraceptives so that at least women and girls can have access to facts and information on how to prevent unwanted pregnancy and how to prevent unsafe abortion. So I believe in my values, and my values are equality. I believe in equality. I believe in women having the right choice. I believe in women living the full standard of life.
Ms. Meza, this is a very progressive way of thinking, you know, and a lot of us in Nigeria, we're very traditional in the way we think. I mean, yes, we've adopted a lot of Western culture, but when it comes to women's rights and specifically when it comes to abortion, people are still very traditional, and also it's based on religious beliefs. So, you know, can you just share how you came about? You know, was there a specific incident that happened in your life or in the life of someone around you that prompted you to begin to champion this cause?
Sure. In the society, you know, in the area where I lived, some years back, a 16-year-old girl lost her life as a result of unsafe abortion. And in the course of our advocacy, we wanted to approach the parents of the girl, and they refused. We started doubting, why did they refuse us, at least to approach them, at least to know the perpetrators? And we now got to know that it was as a result of stigma. They didn't want people to know
that she had an abortion.
That she had an abortion. They didn't want to be associated to somebody who has gone through the process of abortion. So that was the very incident that made me to say, no, let us start fighting the cause to reduce unsafe abortion and reduce these preventable deaths. Because I believe that the process of the unsafe abortion could be prevented.
Most definitely. And do you see a time in Nigeria where abortion, you know, could be legalized? Because obviously it's the unsafe processes that are used, you know, that are causing to deaths. I've seen things like, you know, I've heard of things, not seen, you know, like, you know, coat wire hangers being used, and just these really unsafe and barbaric methods, you know. So do you think, you know, the government could be lobbied, or, you know, there's ever a time where it could actually, you know, become legalized?
Yeah, I believe Nigeria is a progressive country. Though abortion is restricted, but there are laws and policies that we can capitalize on and render services like information, render services like prevention of unsafe abortion. So it is a gradual process. It takes time. It takes time to create real choice.
I would consider myself definitely a progressive person, but I think I stand more on the pro-life angle. So for someone who is coming from a religious perspective and is saying, you know, why should we give people why should we allow abortion, or why should we give women the choice? What would you say to them? And I want us to talk specifically more about that religious angle, because Nigerians were very, very religious people. But you're talking specifically about advocating for the option for safe abortions.
So we'll definitely be talking a lot more about that after the break. Well, it's now time for a short break, and when we come back, we'll meet with our second guest, Dr. Gbenga Akingbehi, who is a lawyer who talks to us on the legal implications of abortion.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. Today on the show, we're talking about abortion stigma and the shame in Nigeria. We've just been joined by our second guest, Dr. Gbenga Akingbehi. He's a lawyer and also a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Law Department of Public Law at the University of Lagos. He's also an abortion and criminal crime expert. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And, you know, you've heard a little bit about the conversation we had before.
Very well.
And just before the break, I asked the question about the religious angle, specifically when you're trying to explain why people should have access to safe abortions. So what are your thoughts on that for someone who's saying, you know, I believe that when you have an abortion, you're killing a child, and I don't think people should have the right to be able to have access to abortion?
Well, as you rightly said, abortion is restricted in Nigeria unless to save a woman's life. So we actually advocate for reduction of unsafe abortion, which is accepted in the country. And for religion, it's a personal race, it's an individual race. We actually use a campaign that says, when the need arises, do not judge me. Step into my shoes and feel my pain. Live the life I live and see if I don't have right to decide. So
you take it from more of an individual point of view, and like Jesus Christ would have said, you know,
the right
is without
to choice.
sin, you know, should cast the first stone.
So concerning religion, it's an individual race, individual something, and we advocate for stepping into my shoes, step into the woman's shoes and feel their pain.
From your perspective, doctor, what's your stance on, you know, the laws right now that Nigeria has about abortion?
Well, maybe before I go into that, just to corroborate what she said, because you were talking about religious perspective, I'm very well aware of the fact that in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 28, abortion is strongly prescribed, because it states that thou shall be fruitful. Okay, and that is reproduction. So any attempt, you know, to commit abortion, you know, is an infraction of that kind of, you know, injunction.
I would like to, you know, chime in here and ask, what about someone who's gotten pregnant as a result of rape, and so that child wasn't planned for, and it wasn't maybe like a one-night stand or anything like that, it was due to being sexually violated? Would that still have the same?
we started on a premise that for every general rule, there's always an exception. You know, but you see, I said that because she said something about religious perspective.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And, you know, when the Bible was being written, you know, there was no exception given there. Okay? And unfortunately, it cannot be revealed now because it's Holy Scripture. And there is another portion that prescribes killing human beings. For those who belong to the pro-life school of thought, the impression is that life begins even from conception, not until you are delivered. Okay? So any attempt to terminate a pregnancy is a violation of right to life. So from that perspective, and the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. So you realize that the recrimination against abortion is rooted in the Bible, which is a scripture.
So my question is, you know, as a lawyer from a legal perspective, is that the reason why the laws are the way they are right now?
Not only that, because the law is not the same thing as morality.
Okay.
Okay? The societal law is based on so many factors and considerations. Okay? It looks at the protection of the society, the human beings themselves. Acts that threaten the societal existence are outlawed.
Okay, so, you know, with that, bearing that in mind, has anybody actually been convicted of having an abortion in Nigeria that you know of?
Very well. It's a criminal offense. It's embedded in the criminal code.
So what's the penalty?
And a host of other criminal law, you know, statutes.
So what would be the penalty? Would they go to prison? Would it be a fine?
The penalty for abortion by virtue of section 237 of the criminal code is 7 years imprisonment.
Wow, wow, wow. So that seems, I mean, do you think that is fair? Because that seems almost on par with much more severe crimes,
now
like theft and murder.
It means that it is a felony. So the punishment is severe. And it is the gravity of the offense that determines the penal sanction.
But you know,
to serve as a deterrence so that people can abstain.
That's interesting because, you know, in, like, let's take the US, for example, you know, people who, you know, condone abortion say that, you know, until a fetus is, I think it's 24 weeks, don't quote me, that fetus is just a combination of cells. They don't believe that that fetus is actually a human being. Do you know what I mean? So
yes,
what would you say to that?
What we're talking about now, let me just give you a preview to that. Yes.
So just, if you could just hold on, we're going to continue the conversation after this break.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. Our topic today is abortion, stigma and shame in Nigeria. So, sir, before the break, you know, you were talking to us, I was asking you a question about the fact that, you know, in the US where abortion is legal in certain states, you know, what is used to sort of back it up is the fact that before a certain stage of the pregnancy, I think it's 20 weeks, the fetus is only considered to be a combination of cells. It's not really considered to be, you know, a human being. So what would you say to that in terms of it being legalized?
I said I'll give you a preview of that particular concept because abortion, as it were, is a medical legal concept.
Okay.
You see, when you talk about abortion, a lot of issues revolve around abortion. People don't know the difference between the stages. Okay? When there is a conception that is less than 8 months, what you have there is not fetus. Is embryo, okay? And between 3 and 6 weeks, that is the stage of embryogenesis, what you call organogenesis, okay? So any pregnancy that exceeds 8 weeks has become a fetus.
Okay.
And between 8 weeks and that 24th week that you're talking about, that is when you terminate such abortion, you have committed foeticide. That is destruction of fetus. Okay? From 24th month and above, it can become child destruction and so on and so forth. And when it is delivered within 1 year, it's infanticide.
Right.
Okay? If you kill a fetus because you are not satisfied with the sex of the baby, that is genericide. You know, so it has different types of
So there are different layers to it.
Yeah, layers.
But in a
so the U.S. Situation that you're talking about, the 14th Amendment actually liberalized the policy on abortion in the United States. And it was actually applied in the case of Roe versus Wade. And that was where the ambit was expanded to the extent that it now accommodates situations not only for the safety of life of the mother, of the person carrying the pregnancy, but even where it portends danger to her mental health or physical health.
Yeah, no, fantastic. But what I
which is not the situation in Nigeria.
But what I was trying to get at is for people who are seeking to legalize abortion in Nigeria, you know, like you were saying, Ma, if it was, you know, could they use the argument that, let's say, within up to 12 weeks, you know, that is, the baby is not really, it hasn't reached the fetal stage like you were describing, and therefore it wouldn't be medically harming the baby because it's just a collection of cells, and therefore, you know, legalizing it could be a possibility. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes, the case we are making now as human rights crusaders and reproductive health vanguards is that to take a cue from the modernity, that is the advanced jurisdictions, we are saying that it should not be a blanket ban. You know, for example, if you want to terminate pregnancy, maybe like in US, South Africa, for example, since 1996, their abortion law, you know, liberalized abortion. You can terminate. You can even see signposts everywhere. Come and do abortion here. Ramps, things like that. So nothing is wrong about it. You know, but in the United States, even in Britain, under the Abortion Act of 1967, which was also applied in the case of R versus Burns and Aaron Smith, you know, their position is that, well, if you want to commit abortion, you know, after an appreciable stage of the pregnancy, you will seek 2 medical opinions. Okay. Okay. There must be 2 medical opinions to show that you actually desire it, and that it is for the purpose for which it is being said, and not for frivolity.
Okay. Ma, let's go back to medical implications of unsafe abortions. Okay. You know, because there's, aside from the fact that a lot of women are actually undergoing, you know, procedures that medically could leave them damaging, there's so many other reasons why, you know, you are advocating for making sure that abortions are being carried out in a safe environment. So can you just share with us some of the implications?
Okay, we actually advocate to reduce unsafe abortion and to give information to women on options when they are faced with unintended pregnancy or unwanted pregnancy. So other issues except the medical aspect could be lack of fund, poverty. It could be that a child is in school and became pregnant at a point, and she really had to stop going to school. For her to continue, maybe she may like to seek to terminate the pregnancy, and in that effect, she may start seeking unsafe procedures. And that is the one that is actually rampant. The girl can decide to start seeking unsafe procedure from unskilled providers, and thereby losing her life.
And can you kind of tell us a bit more about the repercussions of these unsafe procedures? I mean, I've heard of infertility, you know, after people have had illegal abortions, but what else are the possible repercussions? Yeah,
it has a lot of consequences. It can cause infertility. The womb could be destroyed. It can also cause hemorrhage, internal hemorrhage. It can cause death. Wow. It can cause death. Wow. So it has a lot of consequences.
Really quick before we go, right now, where you know, advocates of abortion, people who are trying to give people access to have safe abortion, what is your stance, and what kind of movements, what kind of strides have you made in trying to get the abortion law actually passed?
Well, we have written a policy brief according to WHO standards and recommendations, seeking for liberalizing the law in terms of rape and incest.
So to include that? To
include that. But there's a VAB bill, Violence Against Persons bill, that came out, and it included a person that was raped should seek all necessary medical attention. But abortion is not included, just like that. But we believe it's actually included there, since the person will seek all necessary medical attention and she feels that her life is in danger.
Okay.
So that's the far we have gone. The policy brief, we are still on it. We are still going to put up an executive summary of that.
Okay. All right.
To see if abortion in terms of rape and incest could be added in the law.
All right. No problem. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
And thank you, Mr. Meze. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We went out to the streets of Lagos to find out what people think about abortion in Nigeria.
I don't advise people to do abortion. I advise planning, actually. So, but if anyone goes to do an abortion, the first thing that comes to mind is your safety, okay? The person's safety. And then I wouldn't know the reason for the abortion. So I cannot judge anyone. You understand? But I will only advise that you be cautious, play safe at all times.
If I heard someone had an abortion, I'll find out from the person the circumstances that led to the abortion.
The first question is why? Why did you have the abortion? Is there like a proper reason why you had the abortion? Because people that have abortions, once you begin to condemn them, then there becomes the stigma. The stigma goes with them, and then they feel like they have done something more than what they have done.
I don't think you need to go and start looking for a way to remove that child. Because that child has got a destiny. That child has got something to come do on earth. So I don't think you should. I don't even advise you to go for an abortion.
I don't know what the Constitution says about abortion right now. That's the truth. I don't know if there's any law on ground that says it's a crime.
Yes, I'm aware that abortion is a crime in Nigeria.
I didn't know it was a crime in Nigeria. I just recently heard that it's a crime.
I'm not even aware it's a crime. It is a crime, rather. I'm not.
I think abortion should be permitted under some certain circumstances, such as rape. I think it should be permitted.
It should not be permitted.
When it comes to the issue of life, you understand, most times in the hospitals, they will other advise, they will tell especially for pregnant women that want to give birth and they are finding it difficult, they have some complications, they will ask you, your life, you understand, depends on abortion, removing this baby. So, in cases like that, what do? The person's life first.
If I get pregnant and I don't want to have the child right now, in order to save the life of the child, because if I bring the child to life, I would not treat the child as I should because I don't have enough resources to treat the child in the way that I should treat the child. So in order to save the child from all of that stress and save myself also and save, I would just, have an abortion.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. We're talking about abortion, stigma and shame in Nigeria. But in a nutshell, I think it's just one that is very dicey. But ultimately, I think, the health of the woman is the most important thing. Like Ms. NMEZI was saying, a lot of people end up with infertility due to these illegal abortions. And that's even the best case scenario. So women actually lose their lives. So, I think I know what the Bible says, but I think we also have to employ, some human compassion.
I'm definitely pro-life, but I know a lot of people are in circumstances and situations that they did not find themselves. So before you make any decision, please contact agencies like the Generation Initiative for Women and Youth Network, whose information is scrolling across the screen right now, and they'll be able to guide you to making sure that you make the best decision for yourself and also for your child's life. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Moments Nigeria. We hope that you have been educated and enlightened, and we hope that we find some sort of solution to the rampantness of so many unsafe abortions, because it really does ultimately come down to the fact that everyone should be able to live a safe and healthy life. All right, remember, if you can think it, you can do it.